Now, there happened to be some really old stuff from ancient China that gave ideas, but it was in a language that was unreachable by most of the world, so it just didn't come forward. French was reachable by many scholars because in those days professors were required to at least take 2 languages other than their native language, and we don't require that now, so that sort of died down. And then we come to something else. And before I put down anything more, what is your reaction to that word? If I have spelled it right. I don't think I did. A-U. What do you think of when somebody says to you, bureaucracy? It is a bureaucracy. What do you think of? Quick. Red tape. What do you mean?
Bogged down in paperwork.
Paperwork, okay. And do you have a negative view of this thing called a bureaucracy? Yes, okay. Well, that is not the view that Max Weber, a German political scientist, sociologist, and so on, gives to bureaucracy. 1922. This word, if any of you speak French, do you know what it means? Bureau means office. And bureau is a French word. So in some sense, this word is trying to capture that this is a set of offices that we're dealing with and the like. Well, Weber, when you read it, I would like you to read it and listen to Weber's words. I'm going to give you an alternative in a moment, but he's positive. He says, it's, not paraphrasing, he doesn't use this term, it's a well-oiled machine. I know that it's foreign to your thinking about this thing called red tape. It gets stuff done that needs to get done in that organization because it is efficient. You have a specific job function to do, and so do you, and so do you, and so do you, and so do you, and some of them tie together to deliver the final product. A glowingly positive view of bureaucracy. Now, have you had any negative experiences within the University of New Mexico? Which one, ma'am?
I'm trying to transfer in, and my classes are not having equivalencies yet. Very frustrating.
Yep. I was waiting. I was just waiting. You know, he peed on the chair and everything. Just waiting. Bring it forward.
Keep raising tuition.
Say it again.
Keep raising tuition.
See,
Parking.
I love parking services. When I have to go do something like it, my permit was stolen, you know, because an older vehicle I had, the door didn't lock and I didn't know it, and somebody stole my permit. I had to go over and, you know, give some blood, and bring my passport, and you know, and I'm ready for this. You know, I get up early. I have 4 cups of coffee, and I get in there and do it. But what you're experiencing, parking services, and the other one that students tell me about is not advising, but I can't think of the name of it. I reserve this word, bureaupathology, which I did not coin. It comes from a professor by the name of Thompson, for the negative side of what we experience. And this is not in the text. This is just an addition. But bureaucracy is Weber's observation on the good side of organizations. The negative part is the bureaupathology. In the 1920s, there was a woman by the name of Mary Parker Follett, 1925, who wrote about various aspects of management. And now you have to put this in context. 1925, not quite 100 years ago, and this was in Boston, Massachusetts. She lived in Roxbury. And I'm from Boston originally, so I know where all this is. I don't have a photograph here of her. I have one. I just didn't happen to bring it. But if if you can imagine, this is a slender woman about this tall with spectacles, little wire round spectacles. Harvard educated, also she went to Oxford. Came back and she lectured about management to primarily male audiences. Because in 1925, women were not characteristically in management roles. Now just all of you, the women especially, if you can imagine this little person, standing probably at some sort of a podium in a large ballroom of a major hotel in Boston, New York, Chicago, and so on, and she's telling you what to do. And she had a variety of papers that she wrote, one of which was called Constructive Conflict. And I read that paper as a graduate student, and I said, wow, this is magic stuff. Do you perceive the terms constructive conflict as in opposition to each other? What do you think? Constructive conflict. Do you know what conflict is?
Constantly.
Say it again?
Constantly.
Constantly. You mean you're constantly experiencing it?
Yes.
Where?
With my son.
With your son. Families are I know what you mean. My kids don't live at home anymore. My kids are required to leave at age 18. They can't come back. They can stand on the porch. But that's not all true, but it's kind of... I had to go through an experience in the last 2 weeks of becoming a grandfather. Because I had told my daughter, who's the one who had the grandson, I said, now, it's okay that you have children, just don't bring them here. But I had to relax that rule because it created conflict between myself and my wife and between myself and my daughter and my son-in-law. But I thought it was a good idea to keep the kids out of the house. Now, if you have, I'm getting ahead of myself deliberately, if you have a negative view of conflict, you'll discover when we get to that section, which is the last item we do for the entire semester, that there's a real positive spin you can bring to conflict. It's a tough one, whatever the basis of conflict is between a father and a son, between coworkers, whatever situations you are in, academics, university professors, the egos in the Anderson School of Management are gigantic. They're all individuals. They all know they're important. Our faculty meetings are exciting. All right. Let me leave it at that, and now we're going to I wanted to play ants, but let's see if I can rewind it, if you will bear with me. Sorry, I turned the microphone off so they wouldn't hear me swearing out there. This is the film Ants, 1998 from DreamWorks, and the Z is the primary person, and you're going to see him straight up at the beginning of the film, voiced by Woody Allen. And he's an insignificant part of this massive ant colony, and from his own words, you will get a sense of his self-concept, the sense of his being within this large colony. And over the course of the film, he really tries to find his role in life, and he's pursuing Princess Bala, voiced by Sharon Stone. And then there's a soldier ant that we might or might not see, depending on where I stop the item, Weaver, who is voiced by Sylvester Stallone. But there's also General Mandeville, who I'll let you decide about what he's all about. For example, in Chapter 1, we talk about Theory X and Theory Y. Theory X is a dominating approach. Theory Y is a more involving approach to management, and you may have seen that in other courses, and you'll see it in here in that chapter. This scene starts after the opening credits. It's got a shot of the New York City skyline. And Z says in a voiceover, all my life I've lived and worked in the big city. And he's laying on a couch talking to his psychiatrist.